guys, it's Eric, and today I will be installing a sleeve hitch on my new Husqvarna garden tractor. This is a TS354D. Now, this process pretty much works identically on any Craftsman or Husqvarna riding mower or lawn tractor, yard tractor, garden tractor. I am going to be installing it with this, right? That is an electronic sleeve hitch. This is from Johnny Products. So the irregular sleeve hitch comes with the manual lever that operates back and forth, and I have that installed on one of my other mowers. But this plate replaces the plate that comes with the standard sleeve hitch. Okay, so I've got most of what I need to have here laid out as I assemble it. I'm using an impact gun for these, but you don't have to. This could easily be done by hand. The next step here is to install these brackets here, these one on each side here, and there are holes pre-drilled, so I'll go ahead and install those. Okay, do the same thing on the other side, and we're ready to move on. This doesn't really take all that long. A little bit frustrating at times because there's a lot of different makes and models of these tractors, and so some of the holes are very easily accessible on some models. Ones with a gas tank up here and a larger transmission sometimes can be a little more difficult. There we go. And if memory serves, and it does, the next step is to slide this on, just like so, and that's it. That's what holds it in place. We have one large bolt here that will go through here, if I remember. One of these right here. Excellent. I'll go ahead and tighten that down, and we're ready to put the extension bracket on, the cylinder itself onto it, and then we're ready to do the wiring. As you can see, this is not a complex process. It does take a little bit of time to run the wires, but really this is something you can do in an hour easily. So the next step here, we're going to be using these pins, and this is what attaches the bottom part of the sleeve hitch on to the frame. Go ahead. Slide those on there if you can. And there should be some lock washers, or not washers, cotter pins like these. We'll be attaching those too. Alright, once we have this bottom piece on, what we're going to do next is attach this. This is the electric servo. And we're going to have some washers that go between this crack here. This bolt's already on from the factory. So we'll kind of line that up. Hopefully, there we go, like so. And then we're going to use another washer and the nut here to hold that in place. Okay, and I'll go ahead and tighten that down here in a second. But what I'm going to do next is lift this up, slide it through. You'll see it came with a pin. I'll go ahead and slide that pin. Slide that pin through here. There we go. Okay, and we'll take another cotter pin and we'll run it through that to hold that in place, just like so. So that's how that's all going to hold together. I'll go ahead and tighten all this down. And the reason that it's set up like this is we can unplug this, we can pull these two pins and this pin out, and we can take this off and use this with just regular implements that don't require a sleeve hitch. I actually have an adapter. You can get this from Johnny Products as well. That hooks on right where the sleeve hitch hooks on. You can also use that as well. So options are good, right? So let me go ahead and tighten this down. We'll get right back on this. Alright, so for those who are doing the entire thing at once, the last pieces you're going to want to install are these two big bolts here and these two nuts that go with it. These are actually the adjustments. You're going to kind of screw these in. And I'm going to go ahead and bury these about halfway, see, like that. And then you're going to slide that in from the back. This allows you to adjust your implements side to side. So that's all part of how a sleeve hitch works. I have other videos explaining how exactly to use a sleeve hitch for gardening and plowing and stuff like that. So if you haven't watched those, feel free to do it about halfway and go ahead and screw that in. And then our last step here with the sleeve hitch assembly is this right here, which is our sleeve hitch pin. This pin is a whole lot bigger than a pin you would use for, you know, say a cart or anything like that. So you don't want to lose that. And you do have a cotter pin that goes on there as well. So that's the end of that. And that is it. It's time to go to the wiring section of this. Well, we're almost done. The next thing we're going to do here, and I've already got it plugged in, is we're routing the wiring down, back around through this little part here. There's an extension if your tractor is different models, so you don't have to use it. I've decided to use this. I'm not going to show this part because it's pretty much well, you ought to be able to understand how it works. But you're going to take these tie straps and you're going to kind of route this wiring harness up through the channel, making sure you don't have it too close to the belt or any of the engagement levers or anything like that. You're going to run this all the way up through to the engine compartment, and from there we'll be wiring in our power and our ground here with the supplied switch and wiring. There's our switch. We will have to drill one hole, and you're just going to have to figure out where you want to place the switch. I'll have mine on the dash kind of near where the light switch is, but you can put this anywhere. On one of my older tractors, I had it mounted here on the fender. So if you have a model that has fender shift, I found that to be more convenient. So let's go ahead, I'll get this done, move the camera up to the engine compartment, and we'll do our final wiring and test it out. Okay, so it's a little hard to see this, but here's our two wires coming in from the rear harness. And here is our positive and here is our ground wire. These two are also going to be going to our switch. Now I've decided to mount my switch right about here. That's right next to where the light switch is for this unit. So I'm going to be drilling a hole through here, and then it's just a matter of loosening our battery connections here and here, installing these extra lines to it, and then plugging it all in. We'll be ready to test it out. So I'm going to get a drill bit here, pop a hole in this. All right, there we go. Clean that off a bit. We're ready to install our switch. Okay, and our protective rubber cover. There's a little washer that goes there. Okay, we're ready to wire it up and we'll be done. These two wires, of course, are already ready. But now I'm going to take 7/16. I'm going to loosen these two connections up here for the battery and fix those wires up there. When you're doing work on the electrical system, always remove and reattach the ground first. No, always remove the ground first and reattach the ground last. That way you don't run the risk of shorting out with your wrench here on any of the other positive surfaces. Okay, that is it. We are down to the last section here, and that is hooking the wires up. Now there are 4 wires and 4 terminals on the switch, and I'm going to look here. Looks like our pot on this side. And then these two here go on the back 2 slanted terminals. Now I can't show you that, but I'll show you the picture of it here as soon as I get done. And the instructions say, you know, depending on which way you want the switch to operate, you can always flip the back 2 blades, positive to negative, negative to positive, and that will reverse the mechanism. So if you don't like, if you want up to be down or down to be up, you can switch those 2 wires around. And the other thing you can do is just loosen this whole plug and rotate it around, so that works as well. I'm going to press the button here and let's see if this works. I hear noises, so that's a good sign. Looks like that's all the way down. Oh, no, I do have them reversed for the way I like to have it. So rather than reverse the wires, I'm just going to loosen it up and rotate the entire assembly like so. There we go. And now up is down and down is up. Beautiful. I love it. So let's take this thing outside and take one last look at it. Here are the here's the wiring. Get it close enough to you there. That's all there is to it. It's not a complex wiring diagram. This is just literally 4 wires, and it's fairly self-explanatory. Almost done now. Well, there it is, all said and done. It's a very well built unit. Of course, with the electric sleeve upgrade from Johnny Products, this thing is a very useful piece of machinery. I'll go ahead, walk around the front here and flip the switch, and you'll see it go up and down. Wonderful. It's a great piece of machinery if you're going to use your garden tractor as a real tractor. And as you can see, I've added spacers and wheel weights and ag tires to mine. I intend to use this as a real tractor to turn my garden and work my driveway this year. This is an investment that I would recommend doing. I mean, it really adds to the usability of this unit, and there are a lot of sleeve hitch attachments that work a lot better with something like this attached. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, perhaps you'll think about liking and subscribing. I'll see you next time.